Alrighty, we kind of alluded to it with free agents, so we'll hop there now. A bunch of free agents still available at this point, and I mean they may be signed next few days. Hopefully, with our luck, one of the people that we talk about is going to be signed like tomorrow after we release this, and and it's going to be not a place that we guessed, but a bunch of free agents is available. John, unless you want me to go first, uh, any names stick out to you and maybe a location? I know the
Well, the
big one's
obvious
Sherm
one,
here. Go ahead.
yeah, the obvious one is Richard Sherman. I know that the Raiders have been linked to him, Seattle, obviously. Some people have said Dallas, but I don't think there's been any conversations with him. I think that's mainly just because of Dan Quinn being the defensive coordinator. They have a needed corner, all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't rule Dallas out because I mean the Everson
Yeah.
Griffin thing happened pretty late last year, but I'm not gonna guarantee anything there. I would say it's a less likely option. So I mean there's a variety of teams that could get Sherman. I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a long time to really decide, sees how things pan out. Because I know the guy. I mean, he probably wants to win, so he's gonna weigh his options there. But at the same time, I think he wants a lot of playing time too. So, he's going to have to balance that. But I don't know realistically where he'll sign. I'd probably put my money on Seattle of all the options. I mean, they lost Shaquille Griffin. They have a needed corner. He's a Seahawks legend. So, hey, why not, make a reunion happen? But the other big name that I've seen, I mean, there's a lot of really good players out here. Malik Hooker, KJ Wright, Russell Okung, the tackle who Carolina traded for, he's out. Mitchell Schwartz, but the big name to me is still Sheldon Richardson from the Browns. Um, it was surprising when they cut him. I guess it was to make room for Jadeveon Clowney's contract. I don't know their salary cap
Like,
details.
I don't know. Just a quick note. I think I did read. I forgot where when he like a day after they cut him. Like they were apparently the plan is that they'll bring him back, but then this is before the draft, I think, and then they drafted like two defensive tackles. So it's like I'm not sure anymore because they just drafted two defensive tackles. So yeah, I don't know,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I know they got Marvin Wilson from Florida State, who I liked as a defensive tackle in the draft, and so I think I got him like the fourth round or something like that. So I mean, he's not necessarily Sheldon Richardson right away, and I don't know what the whole if they do bring him back. I have heard that that's a potential option there, and I think if they do that, that'd be fantastic for them because I mean he can anchor that defensive tackle spot at least at least for a year. Um, so if that happens, I mean that just makes me feel even better about the Browns. But I'm not sure where else he could end up. I know that he is still a very solid contributor. He's 30 years old, so he's got another 4 or 5 years left in him if he really wants to continue playing like that. Um, and he's just a big body. He's solid in the run game. Can get you a few sacks every year. So I think any team that gets him could benefit from having him. I don't know too many teams have been linked to him, but he's the best available free agent in my mind besides Sherman. But there are a few other options. I mean, once we get closer towards the season, a lot of these guys, like these are still guys that can make impacts. Like Melvin Ingram, I know, the edge rusher from the Chargers, like he's 32, but you sign him on a 1 year deal. Maybe he has one of those Robert Quinn type seasons like he had for Dallas. I mean, I'm not that was, you know, I think he had like 12 and a half sacks. So that's kind of unrealistic to ask, but like even an Alden Smith type season where you get like 5, 6 sacks on a year, a team gets you on a 1 year deal, something like that. So there's still a lot of talent out here that I'm honestly surprised that some of these guys are not signed.
yeah. So Sherman was not too surprised because I mean it's tough whenever you're representing yourself. I think we saw that with the when he was free agency last time, the money wasn't quite there that he thought was there because he's representing himself instead of having an agent. But in terms of fit, another team I want to throw out there for Sherman. You mentioned Dallas, which I think could be viable because I thought you're going. Everyone thought you were going corner first round. Didn't. But especially running that Seattle scheme, he could be the other good there. But the another team I want to throw out there, just a dark horse, just in terms of scheme fit, maybe the LA Rams. I mean, Brady brought in Raheem Morris. He's gonna run this at the base core of the Seattle scheme. And granted, he does do creative things off that, but I mean, not that their corners are bad to begin with, but hey, another good solid corner. And Sherman can also probably play safety at this point in his career. He's always been a really good tackling, defensive back. and obviously he doesn't have the speed that he did previously, so it'd be help fill in the kind of role that John Johnson kind of left. Um, and then also maybe the Jets if he wants to follow Robert Saleh, but like you said, I do think he wants to win and or get paid, and I don't think the Jets would give him the money unless it's like a 1 year deal. But it seems like he's not really looking for that either. At least just I would imagine. But yeah, Sheldon Richardson's a good one too. Like I would love for my Packers to pick him up because once again, didn't do much. I mean, we drafted a defensive lineman like fourth, fifth round, but you never really know if those guys pan out, or even if they'll make the team, things like that. And I feel like once again, Sheldon Richardson, known commodity, would be great for that. But yeah, the edge guys are interesting. Like you mentioned, Melvin Ingram. Like I'm surprised that LA he hasn't gone back to the Chargers. It just seems like they had a good relationship there. But they do have a new coaching staff and things like that, so maybe he doesn't fit with their plans. But he could be good, especially like in Indy. They got some good young pass rushers. Just another, I mean, he could probably start right away, but still be a good just piece to their rotation with Quiddy Pay, and I think they have Torre who's been pretty solid as well. Because once again, they're running the Seattle scheme, which he just came from his previous Chargers regime. Justin Houston's also a good one to add too. I wouldn't surprised if he goes back to Indy as well. Trying to think of any other teams. I mean, Atlanta could use some edge. We know that they could use some edge help, so maybe they grab one of those guys too. But yeah, Malik Hooker. Once again, he's one of those guys where if he can just stay healthy, he's solid. But that's the issue is he can't stay healthy, which is why he's probably out, still a free agent. Um, Only one I think Steven Nelson's interesting because he's been graded a high corner, but he really is not a high corner. I think that he felt that maybe he's always up there in the PFF grades, and it seemed like I believe he asked to be released from Pittsburgh. Something happened, but Pittsburgh ended up cutting him, letting him go, and I guess he thought that this market would be better, but I feel like once again we mentioned this a few months ago with the free agency stuff. Like market's not really. It's not a good year to be a free agent. You might want to
Right.
wait a year money wise, and I think he realized that. But regardless, I think he can still be a good slot corner. Trying to think if I should have thought of better teams, but still, I mean, I feel like every team in the league would like a good slot corner, or a good fourth corner. So he's there. Um, Other than that,
One of
oh,
one of the big names that stands out to me is Todd Gurley. What I mean, obviously he doesn't have like the same I don't know, I wouldn't even say talent level, but just the level of production that he used to. But I mean, he's still a big name, and in a world where every team has like 3 or 4 running backs, I don't know where he'll end up, but I could easily see him getting on like an actually really solid team. Like I'm at like think of like Buffalo, for example, who already has 2 running backs, but they're kind of younger. So you bring in a guy like Todd Gurley who has some experience, help those guys out, Miami, something like that. I don't know where he exactly will land, but he is an interesting name to me just because of the way the NFL has gone. I think he can still provide value to a team that is going to rotate in their running backs.
yeah, that's a good point. Another guy I wanted to bring up. I was looking for him. Where is he? Linebacker. It was Quan Alexander, just in terms of my Packers, especially, but any team that needs a linebacker. I mean, came back. Came back last year from the ACL injury. Fits the kind of modern NFL linebacker right now, where he mostly specializes in pass coverage, but you can shoot the run gaps if you need to. But yeah, I would love for my Packers to get him, but any other linebacker need team, maybe Kansas City, I want besides they take a chance on him, but he's a good guy too. And then obviously in regards to offensive line, still guys like Dennis Kelly, who's a solid tackle who had some buzz, um, you know, from a few teams, and then also Trey Turner, who didn't have the greatest last 2 years, but still a talented guard. And like a team that maybe like Pittsburgh, trying to instill that run game, you get a good big guard like him, and you have him and DeCastro as your guards, and that's a pretty good set there. So, yeah, there's other few names I wanted to throw out there for regards to just guys that maybe aren't getting as much love.
And I'll say this too. I mean, once we've already seen with like Denver, they've had 2 players that have had season-ending injuries with the training away from site, and that's been a whole deal in itself with players talking about that and all that kind of stuff. But as the training camps and preseason, all these things start to happen, and injuries eventually come. we're going to see a lot of these guys get signed. I mean, a lot of them are probably going to get signed before that anyway. But sometimes these guys are just waiting for the right, spot to open up with a team that they had a guy, but he got hurt. He's done. Now they need somebody else, and boom, in steps this veteran on a 1-year deal.
Yeah, and I think especially, something, especially because it would be the first off season in almost 2 years, and like you basically said, it's unfortunate, but it always happens. There's always injuries in camp preseason, so I'm sure these guys will find a home somewhere. So, yeah. Any other guys you wanted to mention, or?
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of good interior D line guys like Geno Atkins. I mean, he was a Pro Bowler for a long time.
Even
Quan
PJ
Short,
Hall, who's still 26. Don't mind my dog.
yeah,
Joe Casey, Quan Short, like Geno. Yeah, they mentioned Geno Atkins. Forgot. I think we missed him there. Like, especially for a team like my Packers. Once again, still run defense was an issue last year, and I'm kind of, I think I alluded to. I'm not sure on the podcast. I know in chats and stuff. Really worried about the Vikings. That the offensive line's gone much better with Darisaw now. Like, so more lanes for Dalvin Cook, and and then San Francisco will be relevant again. And once again, we never really stopped the Bucs offense. It's just that they got turnovers. So I would like to see those things happen, but they probably won't. So knowing our luck, the Bucs will probably pick up some of those D linemen for depth. So that'll be my life.
Hopefully not. That's the worst case scenario.
I mean, you want to win a ring, Geno Atkins? Hey, come on over. So
No.
But all right. So in regards to Phil's free agents, there's that. Obviously, who knows? Will be interesting to see if there probably will be still one or two names here come season. That happens, So we'll see how it happens there.